Hey, cats and kittens, it's Scott Steehn with winnersandwonders.com coming to you from Corona Central, everybody. We are even deeper in the bowels of the Winners and Wonders Sports and Entertainment Complex, self-isolating, keeping our social distance. But hey, we don't have to worry about all that to do what we're doing today because we have a guy all the way from Long Island, New York. He's you know him, you love him. He's one of our closest personal friends here at Winners and Wonders. It is the one, the only. It is Scott Reichel. Scott, how are you doing today, my friend?
Doing pretty well under the circumstances. Still trying to find something to watch on TV every now and then, mostly at nights because you have no games to watch. But luckily, my recording stuff was located in my bunker, so we're able to get this done.
Now, we talked about it just a little bit earlier, the show that is sweeping the nation, the Tiger King. You have not seen it yet. Now you've had now you've had unrealistic expectations built up, and there's no way it can possibly deliver, right?
The problem is that I don't really know if how my expectations should be set up because I've heard it's completely over the top on one end, and I've heard it's unbelievable. You can't stop watch material. So I'm not really sure. I might have to make my own opinion about that later on. But I heard Shaq makes a cameo. I heard that was the thing. I don't know if that's accurate or not.
It's yes, it is. Shaq comes down and checks out the Tigers. Yes, it's. I'm anxious to get your take. And hey, if you guys are listening, if you've seen the Tiger King out there, feel free to let me know in the comment section. You know, the part where you usually tell me what games you're playing and what you're on and all that. Tell me if you've seen the Tiger King yet, because I want to know. I want to know if you've seen Joe Exotic and whether Carol Baskin killed her husband and fed him to the Tigers.
Well, I'll tell you what, though, what I have noticed from the previews and everything is that regardless of whether or not I end up watching the show, I pretty much have to buy his outfit. So I got to find where I got to figure out who I can talk to under these circumstances on Amazon where I can
think
find that outfit.
Be a perfect opportunity for you to let that hair grow out and, frost those tips and color the, I think you look great as the Tiger King. So
only time will tell. I'm sure it'll look really good during the summer months while I'm at home. It'll look like a lot of fun.
But, so Scott, let me ask you a question. Have you, now I've decided to take the tack that if people notice that we haven't been doing a lot of videos over the last couple of weeks, I find it amazing how many people were able to switch gears, being experts from college basketball and the NBA, and now all of a sudden being stone cold pros on Russian table tennis and Belarus soccer. Scott, are you buying into the hype on some of these sports down the line? Have you made any Australian rules football bets before they shut it down, or what's the craziest thing you've been playing?
Well, I think my new favorite current material on Twitter or just in general with the sports betting market has been the virtual simulations on, Madden, 2K, and all this other stuff where they're betting on video games played by the computer. It sounds like a lot of fun for me. No, but I've actually been making some jokes about that. I've been trying to make some videos lately on the NFL draft. So I've mostly turned my attention to that with some props. But for the most part, I mostly just mock the fact that people are now claiming themselves as quote-unquote experts on cricket, badminton, table tennis, and Belarusian soccer, as you put before. So, no, I haven't really thought about it. If I can't pronounce the team I'm betting on, I'm probably not going to bet it. That's pretty much my advice on that one. But, if you've been making some money on table tennis and even the video game stuff, I know some books have started to offer it. But if you've been making money on it, good for you. If you've been losing money on it, then, it kind of serves you right in a way. I'm not trying to tell you that I'm happy you lost your money, but if you're betting on something you don't really know what you're talking about just because you can't stop betting on virtual camel racing, then, I feel like you should probably see either a doctor or a therapist to help you out with that.
I think virtual camel racing is one of the funniest visuals that I've come across. That's
a thing, though. I'm not making that up. That's too random to be true. That's to not be true. That's 100% an option that people have been moving towards, and I'm a bit concerned with the fate of the community if there's actually a following behind that. But
so, Scott, are we going to play football this year?
I think we will in a limited capacity. I think at the end of the day, nobody really knows how to predict the upcoming months based on the outbreak of the current virus. I'm not going to pretend that I'm a doctor and that I know how this is going to go. I don't. Do I think it's going to get better before it gets worse? No. I think it'll probably get worse over the next couple of weeks. Until you actually find a way to at least have either a complete stop of the spread or just eliminate it itself. I just think it's too much of a health hazard to throw in athletes, whether it's the student athletes or the paid athletes. Just player safety is the most important aspect. And I think that until you can actually find a way of estimating when this might either slow down entirely or stop, stuff like that, I personally think that you should err on the side of caution. So I personally expect to see at least a delay for the NFL and even college football. Do I think we're going to get some of it? Yes. But I am not going to try to predict when that will be. That's just my thoughts on that. You have any thoughts on that?
I was originally hoping for everything back to quote unquote normal by Memorial Day.
Yeah.
At the end of May. I just don't think we're going to be able to make that.
There's no positive signs. I mean, everything's been negative and it's been getting worse. And it seems like every day you have more prominent figures, whether it's news anchors or athletes or even political figures. It seems like more and more people keep getting affected. And I don't really think that people are just going to rush towards it. The only exception is UFC, who apparently just doesn't really care about any of the safety of anybody. And they're just trying to find out which random garage in Siberia they can host the events. So, I don't really know how that's going to work, but, every other sport or league, I should say, seems to be erring on the side of caution. And even though it's not what you'd want to hear from a sports fan perspective, from a player safety perspective, there's really no other way to go about it.
Are you a wrestling fan at all? A pro wrestling fan?
No. As far as I know, Macho Man Randy Savage isn't around anymore, so I'm not really interested.
He's really not around anymore.
Yeah, really not around.
Savage was Slim Jim.
Yeah.
Well, they're doing their big show. They're the Super Bowl of wrestling, of course, is this Sunday with WrestleMania.
How great is it that the fighters are pumping up imaginary fans that aren't even in the crowd? Isn't that a great sight? Now that you have The Rock trying to throw down some serious build-up, and he's got absolutely zero applause in the stands, and yet they act like it's completely normal. Then you have Gronk showing up randomly, and I'm not really sure what's going on there.
Yeah, I happened to run across it last Friday night, and I ran across it just in time to catch Gronk on there. And, Gronk talking smack with some of the other guys, and it's very weird. I guess they're doing it like in their training complex.
I mean, the issue, though, is that you have to eliminate all the dramatic pauses for applause because there is no applause anymore. So now they're actually just having a full-on conversation. And I'm kind of curious how that would work. I was never a big wrestling fan, though. I mean, the Macho Man, I used to watch his old stuff back in the day. Just on YouTube and stuff. But nowadays, I really don't care. I don't know if you're a big wrestling fan or not. But
no, my son went through a phase when he was about 10 or so, and we watched it for a few years. But
I went through a NASCAR phase. That was my phase growing up.
We did too. And that was going to bring me to my next topic. Have you seen the virtual NASCAR racing?
I have not watched it personally, but at the same point, I have been aware that that's been happening. I have some friends who have been interested in it. I'm still upset Dale Earnhardt Jr. came in second and didn't win the first race. But, I haven't really been following. I forgot who won the first one. Was it Hamlin? Denny Hamlin won?
Yes, I think Hamlin nipped him there at the wire. It was a pretty good, I'm going to say this. It was a pretty good race. It was a pretty good video game to watch.
Well, if you're talking about comparing sports that you can somewhat, trying to think of the right way to phrase this, where you can replicate it and try to not lose as much as possible, I think NASCAR is probably one of those sports where you can do that, because basketball and everything like that is different because you can see the athletes. There's a certain type of, I'd say, character traits that are noticeable when they're arguing with the refs, etc. But when you're watching somebody, whether it's in a virtual car or in a regular car, go around in circles for at least an hour and a half, I feel like you might not necessarily lose much of the experience involved.
No, it really does look realistic. No question about it. When you watch it, especially that overhead 50-yard line shot, it looks about like a regular NASCAR race.
So is there a virtual racer that you're rooting for in the circuit, or no?
No, you know what? I'm just a little more than you, where I've watched a little bit of it. I haven't made a bet yet. It's gonna be interesting because I'm sure a lot of the kids that are really good at the video, there's one kid that came up through the ranks simply by playing the video game. He never got into a car until he was 15, 16 years old, which is incredibly late. for racers. They usually come up through the
Go-kart and stuff like that.
cars and quarter midgets and things like that, right? And this kid had never been in a car until he got in a race car, and he learned just by playing these simulators. So,
well, I mean, if that makes it any easier, some people in esports have never held the sword before, but yet they're still winning millions of dollars playing in battle royale games. So, I guess you don't really need the real life experience if you have the video games.
Well, that brings us to actually, we can segue nicely into that. Are you a fan of esports? Have you made any esports wagers in your life?
In my life, yes. Recently, with everybody panicking and trying to find something to bet, no. It's not really a matter of me not being fully interested in esports, because I do think that there is a market for it, and I understand why it has grown so much, especially with everybody. Even before the whole virus incident, you just have a lot of people playing video games. Fortnite was a huge thing before the virus started, and they ended up having tournaments with millions of dollars in prize pool money. I mean, is it something that I'm fully interested in? No. Some of my friends are, so I might know a little bit about it through association. But as a whole, I'm not really interested in betting on video game teams fighting against each other. It's just not really my cup of tea. But I can understand why people do it. I mean, especially if you have that itch for some type of adrenaline, you want to actually bet on the sports. But I'm not going to dive into hours of footage of Twitch streams on video game clans. I just don't have that time in my, even though I can't even use that excuse anymore. I do have time on my hands. I just don't want to do it. So, I mean, if you have and you've been profitable, then, good for you. You found a market, but it's not really something I've been fully invested in, if you know what I mean.
Agreed.
What about you?
All right, so let's talk a little optimism here. Let's talk a little NFL football as we move on. First of all, let me know what that draft looks like, Scott. Are they gonna? I know they're not gonna take them across the gondola in the fountains of Bellagio, which I thought was going to be actually pretty cool the way they had that set up. That they bring the draft pick to the podium in some sort of gondola or motorboat. But it sounds like they're still going to try to do the draft on the same day. So give me your top five. Who's the top five draft pick? What, any funky things going on in your view? Any trades going to happen there in the first round?
Well, according to some betting markets, based on the expectations for the top, I'll stick with the top three for now, just based on the expectations. A lot of betting markets actually expect one team to trade up to the 3 spot to take Tua, and I don't really see that happening. There were some rumors about the Dolphins trading up for the 1, even though Cincinnati would never actually give up the pick. I think Cincinnati's taking Burrow. I think that's a lock. I don't really know how they don't, especially since he's the local kid from Ohio State originally.
Yeah, he's an Ohio guy. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think that's a no-brainer. Cincinnati's going to take him. For 2, Washington could trade down, but Dan Snyder seems like the guy who just likes to be in the press, and I think that Chase Young's the obvious choice at number 2. He's clearly, in my opinion, I have him ranked at 1B. I think there's a 1A, 1B prospect-wise on who I like the most, and Chase Young is by far at least one of the better athletes, if not the best athletes in the last couple of draft classes, just based on how he performed at Ohio State and based on his measurables. I think he'll do really well. You can pair him up on the defensive line with Kerrigan and even Jonathan Allen, who they drafted a couple years ago. I think he will go 2 to Washington. And for 3, I think Detroit's going to be bad no matter what, but I don't think they're going to trade the pick. I think that they're going to take Okudah out of Ohio State. It makes too much sense. You traded your number 1 corner in Slay, and now you have the opportunity to draft a Patrick Peterson-like prospect. And Okudah, according to a lot of projections and based on some feedback from the quote-unquote experts, I use quotes because nobody really knows what they're talking about. It's all a guessing game. But I think Okudah is the best cornerback prospect since arguably Patrick Peterson. And I personally think Okudah is the most can't-miss prospect in the entire draft. I think the Lions will probably draft him if they don't chip the pick. I think they'll keep him. I think they'll take Okudah. 4, I actually made a prop video on this yesterday for my channel. I talked about how the Giants would take Isaiah Simmons, the linebacker out of Clemson. I know that there's been some rumors about the Giants being interested in offensive linemen, but according to recent reports, the Giants front office seems relatively content with Solder and Fleming as their tackles, so I do think they will address defense, and I think they will take Isaiah Simmons. And then 5th, I have to go with Tua going to the Dolphins. I also made a prop video on that. I got the over 3.5 draft selections for Tua. And unless somebody trades up in order to actually get into the top 3, I don't see how it's possible that loses. I think that'll fall into the Dolphins' lap. I do think that nobody will trade up for him due to the injury concerns. And that's one thing that the virus has had issues with, is that it did prevent teams from actually scouting him in person. So even though all the doctors have reported that Tua is 100% healthy and that he should be able to perform in the NFL as soon as he ends up signing with a team after he gets drafted, you still have a bit of a concern with how much front offices will take issue with the fact that they haven't actually seen him perform in person since he had the surgeries. I think that'll prevent teams from trading up. So once again, my personal 5 doesn't really involve any trades, so I could be incorrect on that one. But for me, I got Burrow 1, Young 2, Okudah 3, Simmons 4, and I got Tua going 5. I don't know what you have, but those are my thoughts.
I like Simmons a lot. I think he may be the steal in the draft. I'm gonna make a bold prediction. I think he's gonna have a better career than Chase Young, and I know that's
Young had some work ethic issues at college, which I found.
Yeah, I know that's what we've heard, and he's kind of a tweener a little bit. So we'll see how all that plays out. So
Are you an Okudah guy also, or no? I personally, I don't want to be that early because he hasn't played a snap or even been drafted yet. I really think he's going to be wearing a gold jacket in about 20 years. I think he's that good.
I think cornerback coming out of college is one of the tougher positions to project, because a lot of times it doesn't hinge on raw talent. You have to be able to adjust to the system.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just kind of curious to see how he gets along with Matt Patricia up there.
For a year probably, because I expect Patricia to be fired.
Yeah, don't get too comfortable there, Matty. Mm-hmm. And I think they've given him an extra year or so just on the Patriots cachet that he brought.
I think they also blame the Stafford injury, and they thought that they would be better off if he stayed healthy. I personally think I just don't think Patricia's the guy. I don't know what they've seen from him, but then again, the GM might be looking at it saying, well, if Patricia gets fired, I'll get fired, and we'll get fired together. So I guess they're going to ride it into the sunset.
I thought it was weird that they traded Slay. I mean, I knew he was going to pay him some money, but
I thought they could have got more. What, they got a 3rd and a 6th? They couldn't get a 2nd round or a 1st round pick for him.
All right, so let's rip through this here real quick as we come down the home stretch here, and we're going to probably try to do some videos here frequently, get a little more subjects as sports gets a little closer, hopefully to starting back up. But let's rip real quick through our division winners here, Scott. I'm not gonna read the odds on everybody, but tell me who you like. Tell me who you got. Let's start in the AFC East with New England favorite, Buffalo as the second favorite, and then the Jets and the Dolphins a little further back. Any surprises there? Is this Buffalo's year?
Well, the problem with that is the fact that I still don't know who New England's quarterback is going to be for Week 1.
You stole my next question, because that was and I saw some interesting props on that too.
There are. Personally, I think that New England's going to sign Andy Dalton. That's just my personal opinion. I think that fit makes a lot of sense. People were wondering about Cam, and first of all, Winston throws too many picks. I think Belichick would hate him. I don't think they're going to bring him in. Newton, the issue I have with Newton is you have the question mark regarding how mobile he will be after the injury. And plus, Belichick's system has been revolving around an immobile quarterback for about 2 decades. I don't really know how you're going to bring in a mobile guy and just tell him, oh, we're going to reinvent the entire offense that we've won multiple Super Bowls with. I just don't see that happening. Dalton kind of makes sense to me. I'd say that even though Brady's significantly better, I think that there are some similarities between just the style of play between both quarterbacks, and I do think that Dalton makes the most sense. You can't go into Week 1 with Stidham or Brian Hoyer. That's an absolute disaster. So I'm assuming that Dalton will get signed by New England. I think New England wins the division. Until Buffalo until somebody overthrows New England, I have to pick them. And with the odds are getting now, I don't know how you don't back Belichick.
To be the king, you got to beat the king, brother. The New England Patriots right now to win the East, by the way, plus 125.
You have any thoughts on that?
What's that?
You have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I like Buffalo. I there was just nothing about the New England offense that impressed me last year at all. I don't think replacing a washed-up Brady with a soon-to-be washed-up Andy Dalton.
Do you think it's Dalton? Because I mean that's a separate question. I think Dalton makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I do. I think that's probably Yeah, I maybe lean a little closer to Cam than you do, but I still think Dalton gets the slight nod there. He's a veteran. He's got a lot of the tools.
Well, for the record, Dalton to go to New England is actually plus 500 on DraftKings. So if you actually wanted to bet a prop on that, you actually can.
Yeah, there's some good money out there on opening day quarterback.
Plus 500, I think, is a pretty good deal. But it's not even to start. It's actually just which roster he'll be on. And New England's plus 500 on DraftKings.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, but I actually just saw that DraftKings uploaded the Week 1 starting quarterback for pretty much almost every team. And if you take Dalton to be the starting quarterback Week 1 for the Patriots, plus 1,200. So there's actually some pretty nice change there if you were looking through some props. But I'll probably take that personally. Plus 1,200 is too good of a deal.
I like Buffalo plus 140 right there. All right, that's what I've got on the AFC East. All right, AFC North, Ravens prohibitive favorites. Everybody else plus 350 or worse. Any surprises there?
I'm taking the Ravens.
Yeah,
I don't think you really have to spend much time on this. People want to buy into Pittsburgh, but until I actually see Roethlisberger throw after having serious arm surgery, I'm not going to put any money in it. Plus, I know they signed Ebron. Do they really have any other great receivers besides Juju?
To me, they look a lot like New England in that they're definitely defense heavy and have some major questions on the offensive side.
And Connor can't stay healthy, so I don't know who's going to be the running back.
Yeah, and you know what? And we talked about it a little bit during the season. I'm not that big of a Connor fan as it is.
I'm not. He can't stay healthy.
I thought he was even in his healthiest. I thought he was a major step back from Le'Veon Bell. But yeah, and then you have the problem that he can't stay healthy. Absolutely, I like Baltimore. They're even laying the wood minus 200. I'm not sure there's a ton of value there, but I think they are the prohibitive favorite, no question.
If Lamar stays healthy, then they'll win at least 12 games. I feel like that's kind of the general consensus.
Yeah, without knowing their schedule, I think you're absolutely right. All right, so let's ripping through here. We've got the AFC South. This is probably the wide open division. Colts, Titans, and Texans all plus 225 or lower. Who do you like there?
Personally, I like the Titans. The issue I have with the Texans is Bill O'Brien's the GM and the coach, and getting rid of Hopkins might have been one of the worst trades I've ever seen.
Awful.
And the issue I have with the Colts, how do you give Phillip Rivers $25 million?
Yeah, I don't know.
Did they not watch him last year? I mean, I understand that people were saying, well, maybe the offensive line will help in the change of scenery. Phillip Rivers can't throw the ball more than 40 yards in the air. He has no arm anymore. I don't get it.
I think him and Brady are both done. I don't think either one of those guys plays in 2021.
I think Brady has more left in the tank than Rivers, but I do think that both of them are on their last leg, so to speak. But as a whole, based on that, I got to take Tennessee. Assuming Henry stays relatively the same guy, do they overpay Tannehill? Yes. But at the same point, everybody else in the division, I think, is so weak that I just think if Tannehill does enough and they give Henry the ball enough in November, December, they should win 10, 11 games.
Yeah, I think they've been dying for quarterback. AFC West. Most lopsided division out there, Chiefs minus 350. Everybody else 8-1.
It's the Chiefs. I'm not going to really spend much time on that.
All right, good enough.
I'm assuming you agree on that one.
What's that? Oh yeah.
I'm assuming you agree. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of course you agree. Why'd I even ask? Of course.
Well, it has to do with the fact. Well, it's twofold. The Chiefs, obviously right now I think best team in the NFL. Number two, that's probably the worst division in the NFL. So it's a good combination.
Well, I was saying you personally. I already knew where you were going with that one. I shouldn't have even asked. Yeah,
absolutely. And in the NFC East, Eagles, Cowboys. Those are your two favorites, and you got the
toss the other two out. There's not even
more there.
That division's that's so tough because I don't think the Eagles became the first team to win the division I forgot who won the division 2 years ago, but I feel like you haven't had the same team win that division in consecutive years in like a decade or something.
I've seen that stat. Yeah,
I forgot if it ended or not. I forgot who won the division 2 years ago. Eagles might have won it back-to-back years. I don't remember, but either or. I got to take Philly. It hurts me personally because I do root for the Cowboys, but at the end of the day,
right.
The whole Dak thing's a huge distraction. The secondary is a joke, and Philly got Slay, so they finally got themselves a corner that they needed. The question is, can can Wentz stay healthy? And assuming he can, I just think Philly has more talent overall on the roster. So I got to go with Philly.
All right. NFC North, you got the Packers favorites and the Vikings, Bears, Lions far down the list. Any surprises there? You like the Packers to repeat?
No, I don't. There's something about LaFleur last year just didn't have me sold. And for me, I'm personally going to go with it's tough. I wouldn't be surprised to see the Bears do something potentially if they decide Foles is the guy. I'm going to take Minnesota. I just think overall, with their talent from top to bottom, I think they're the most talented team in the actual division. The draft still is a huge question mark for these teams because Minnesota needs a receiver after trading Diggs. But I'm going to go with Minnesota. They actually won a playoff game. Am I really backing Kirk Cousins? And not with my own money, but if we're going based on predictions, I think Minnesota wins the division.
Good enough. Anybody have a chance to uproot the Saints out of the NFC South there?
I know you're all in on Brady with the Buccaneers, right? No, I'm taking the Saints. I think Tampa Bay will win maybe 9 or 10 games. Would I be shocked if they missed the playoffs? No. You have Brady in a new system with a bunch of deep receivers, and he's thrown short passes his entire career. I don't really know how good the fit is there. But at the end of the day, New Orleans, they might choke in the playoffs every year, but they'll win the division every year. So I'll
take a long shot spin I don't hate is the Falcons at 6-1.
Every year on paper, they look really good, and then you watch them play the first 4 weeks and wonder how.
That's the problem. They finished really well. They had a nice 6-7 weeks to end up the season there. Again, if you want to take a flyer, I don't hate the Falcons.
Is it wrong that I think Matt Ryan's an overrated quarterback? I know he won 1 MVP, but I feel like his status because of that, people just think he's better than he actually is.
Yeah, and he's had some pretty good talent around him too. You know, he's not one of these Brady guys that you couldn't name one of his receivers. He's actually had one of the best receivers in the NFL for many years, and had some solid supporting players though. So yeah, I'm with you there. All right, NFC West, Niners minus 125, Seahawks Rams right around the 350-400 mark.
I'm taking the 49ers.
You like the 49ers again there. Arizona finish not last?
I think they finish in last. The issue that I have is that Hopkins is a great receiver. The offense last year was decent. I still don't think that defense is very good. I know Chandler Jones is an elite-level pass rusher. Is the secondary any good? No. I know Patrick Peterson's good, but they were borderline trying to trade him last season. Right. So overall, Arizona might be the best 6-10 team in the league when it's all said and done. No, I still think the Rams are better. I still think that the Seahawks are better. And I still think that the 49ers are better. So for me, I got Arizona coming in last. I don't know what you think, but
who wins the NFC Championship? Real quick.
Oh God, I'm hoping we have a season. I haven't even thought of this yet. I'm gonna go with the Eagles.
Make a football prediction.
I'm going with the Eagles. I'll take
the Eagles.
It's a bold call. But at the end of the day, that team had no talent last year, pretty much, and that they still managed to make a run. So the team plays hard for Peterson. I give him respect for it. And assuming everyone stays healthy on paper, I think the Eagles might be the best team in the NFC.
That's 11-1. That's a nice prize. I'm going to take a spin on Drew Brees and the New Orleans Saints to go out and finish his career on.
I'd be happy with that. But, they also paid him $20-something million. And I don't really know if it might come back to bite him. I know that Breeze is an all-time great. If you take out the one Super Bowl run that he had, he's basically been Phillip Rivers in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I'm just going to throw that out there. I mean, of course, the one ring is huge, but that was also about, was that 10 years ago? 11 years ago?
We beat the Colts, at least 10.
I kind of gave up on expecting the Saints to do anything. I had some money on them winning the Super Bowl this past year. And they lost to Kirk Cousins, so I'm off the bandwagon. I'm out. But I would be happy for them, for Peyton and for Breeze if they got it done. But I've waved the flag on them. I can't do it.
And what about the AFC? Do the Chiefs repeat? Does anybody knock them off their throne?
I hate picking the same team to make it back when they're not named New England. I have to take the Chiefs. There's no other team that's close to them in the AFC, in my opinion. Baltimore has a shot. But Lamar Jackson should probably win a playoff game first before I pick them to make it to the Super Bowl. I mean, you have two separate one-and-done years there. And at the end of the day, I just think Mahomes is the best quarterback I've seen since probably prime Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
So I'll take the Chiefs on that one.
Chiefs repeat to win the Super Bowl.
Against the Eagles, yeah, I'll take the Chiefs again. Of course,
All
that'll
right.
probably not happen because it's the NFL, but that's got to be where my money goes.
All right, kids, there you have it. Scott Reichel has the Eagles and the Chiefs.
Well, what do you think?
Head to
You
the
got
Super
Chiefs
Bowl.
beating the Saints?
I like the Chiefs beating the Saints. I think
So
that
Breeze, timeout. So Breeze is going to ride off into the sunset with a second place finish. That's basically what you said.
they're not going to be able to do it. They're not going to have the defense to be able to shut them down.
That's fair.
So there you go.
Hmm.
All right. Anything else you want to say as on a parting note here? We got to rock and roll, my friend.
Overall, no, not really. I've been trying to do some NFL draft stuff. So if you want to check out those videos, you can find me at StatSalt on the YouTube channel. But other than that, though, I've been watching throwback college basketball games for about a week and a half, and I feel like I'm losing my mind. So if you have any,
it just depresses me. I haven't watched any sports at all. I haven't watched any other than a little bit of the racing and stuff. I can't watch any of the repeat sports. It just depresses me.
they've shown the Leitner shot against Kentucky about 5 times.
I watched that. I'm not gonna lie. I watched the last 5 minutes of that.
It's been on 5 times in the last 2 days or so, and
Yeah.
it's still a great moment. And I was born 5 years after it happened, so that's my thoughts on that one. But yeah,
Good enough. I was actually doing a gig that night, and we had to wait for that game to be over before I went on stage. So I
nice.
That one. All right, guys. Well, he is Scott Reichel. I am Scott Steehn. We are winnersandwhiners.com. Don't forget to check us out. We've got some great content over there at winnersandwhiners.com. Even though we're not doing the daily previews and predictions, obviously we've got some great content on the draft. Make sure you check out Scott's his videos over there at StatSalt on the YouTube channel. So we haven't shut it down here, kids. So make sure you keep winnersandwhiners.com, statsalt.com in your rotation, and we'll be coming to you doing a few more videos here as we get this new technology fired up. I hope everybody is safe. Hope everybody is well. Give us a holler in the comment section. Let us know you're out there. Let us know how you're doing. Let us know how you're passing the time. All right. Everybody stay safe, stay well, stay home. We're going to get through this together. We're going to have sports again before you know it. All right. Everybody be patient and do your best. Give everybody an extra hug. All right. Everybody take care. Thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.